For more on President Biden's comments, Jagruti Dave joins us live from Washington, D.C. Now, Jagruti, the president has been quick to react to the assassination attempt against his rival, I believe speaking to for the third time now since Saturday evening. What do you make of tonight's address in particular, though?
Yeah, I think this address was important. It was from the Oval Office. It was the president talking to the country and really trying to make a call for unity. That was really the message that he ran on when he became president, that he wanted to be a president for all Americans. And this was his chance to reset some of that acrimonious campaigning that had been happening, the acrimonious debate between himself and Donald Trump, and some of the, which led to all that infighting within the Democrats and those questions about his own fitness to lead the country for another term. And he, as much as this is a chance to put some of those questions to bed, this was also really a chance to get away from some of the politicking and to really say, as Americans, what he thinks that we should all do together, as he said. So some of the things that he was saying was that, there's a lot we don't know about the investigation, but he's going to speak to what we do know. And we cannot go down this road in America. He's, as you mentioned, talked about that brutal attack on the then Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband. He gave an example of intimidation of electoral officials. And this attempted assassination of Donald Trump, he clubbed all of these incidents together and said, these are examples of political violence that has been happening in America, and that it cannot go on. He said that there is no place in America for this kind of violence. He said it's time to cool down the political temperature, really. And he said that there were the stakes were high in this election, that there'll be disagreements, that at the RNC this week, no doubt they will question his record and his vision for America, just as he will be going up and down the country questioning the Republicans' vision and Donald Trump's vision for America. But really, this was his attempt to say that as Americans, we need to come together. We need to get out of our silos, is what he was saying to Americans. And saying that, hate should have no safe harbor. He talked about foreign interference in elections. He said that there were actors outside of the country that wanted to damage the unity of the country within. So I think what I make of this is really, this is an attempt by Joe Biden to reset the narrative, reset the tone in the run-up to the election campaign, but also remind Americans that they are all, whatever color party that they might subscribe to, that they are at heart Americans, and that the founding fathers that he harkened back to said that, disagreements were handled not by bullets, but at the ballot box. And that is something that that the country should remember, is what Joe Biden said. So, I think this is clearly an incredibly divisive time. We've talked about this so many times on this program about how America has never felt more divided than it does right now. And this incident at Pennsylvania with the shooting has really brought that to light, that this history of political violence in America is being brought to the present day. And I think Joe Biden is really, on a campaign level, but also on a national level, trying to reset things and trying to practice what he and many other politicians, both from the Republicans and Democrats, have been preaching, which is to say everyone needs to cool things down, needs to cool the rhetoric down. And we need to remember what's important, and that is that violence is not acceptable in America. But, this is clearly an ongoing investigation. This is clearly a problem that America has had. And, as the campaign goes on, it remains to be seen exactly how much will be listened to in terms of this rhetoric being cooled down, and whether we're going to see amping up of rhetoric again as those months towards November approaches. But for right now, I think that the general sense is, let's cool everything down.
Yeah, indeed, Jagruti, a fragile moment, just 113 days ahead of the election. But President Trump doesn't appear to have lost any momentum here. I mean, he walked up the stage in Pennsylvania, and he's scheduled to touch down in Wisconsin for the Republican convention, though he's not set to make any public appearance until at least Tuesday. How is the attack going to impact his campaign?
Well, some analysts have suggested that it could provide a boost to his campaign, encourage sympathy for Donald Trump. Those who were uncertain about him will look at him and will look at what's happened and be moved to support him. There's that image that is circulating in the press, on social media, of Donald Trump with his fist in the air right after the shooting occurred. And it's quite an image. It's very symbolic, and I think a lot of people are gravitating towards it. So there is a sense it could give him a boost. I think it also depends, I think, on how he handles it from now. Whether he's called for unity in the country. Does he practice that? He's speaking about it, but does what he say at the convention, does his behavior going forward echo those calls for unity that he himself has made, but also members of his own party have made? Another way that I think it could impact his campaign is to really focus in on the debate around security. I think that is what the Republicans are looking at with this investigation into the Secret Service, and a look at President Biden saying he's looking into security at the convention, but also Democrats saying that I think security needs to be looked at for the Democrats convention as well in Chicago. I think that is going to really impact the campaigns. I think the issue about gun violence in America is clearly going to be brought back, and the issue of whether guns can be brought into the Republican convention is something that people are going to be talking about as the week goes on. So I think a whole variety of issues as the investigation into the shooting continues to take place and we find out more information about the shooter, about potential motivations, etc.
Appreciate the report. Thank you very much, Jagruti Dave from Washington, D.C.